Dear oh dear, Gary Neville putting his foot in it once again. Hello, welcome to the channel. So this is reaction to Gary Neville, ex-England, Manchester United footballer, now heavily into media, sports and business and so on and so forth. He came out in a little video that he made for his LinkedIn account addressing, well, confusing issues, right? Confusing issues. One, talking about the terror attack on the synagogue, which, results in deaths, injuries and arrests from a Syrian man, immigrant, coming into this country and then committing this heinous crime. And then also labelling at the same time that it's to do with, the Union flags, not Union Jack flags, which he kept on referencing. It's the Union flags being raised and English flags being raised all over the place and angry white men and trying to divide the nation. Right, so the problem is he's talking about one thing that's got nothing to do with English people or white middle-aged, bold people like me. It's got nothing to do with it. So you're talking absolute nonsense and you're kind of confusing issues. That is one particular issue, and it relates to somebody not even from this country, for a start. So have respect for that issue. Do not try and introduce something else. Now, if he's just talking about the flags and the recent surge in people wanting to put up Union flags on their houses or on lampposts or whatever, or English flags, St George's flags, on whatever lampposts or hanging outside the windows, whatever. Well, that's a separate issue. Now, within that, I understand what he's trying to say, in that for the last 15, 20 years, nobody's been putting up flags. Then all of a sudden they want to put up flags because he found a flag on one of his building sites and he had it taken down straight away. Because what he's seeing is, or what he thinks he's seeing, is that this is somehow related to something that's trying to pull us apart, pull us as a diverse nation apart. And it's all to do about racism and angry white men and all that kind of stuff. Okay, it isn't that. There's always going to be an element of that. And I made a video a while ago talking about, be careful how quickly that pendulum can swim from one side to the other in terms of dealing with legitimate issues and then throwing in all sorts of other issues and racism and all this sort of stuff, right? But within big protests, let's say, it's not just angry middle-aged white men, bold men, who are a bit overweight, let's say, who are angry and everything like that. There's lots of people, lots of diverse people actually protesting the same manner. Men, women, different from people from different ethnic backgrounds are all on the same page here in terms of dealing with illegal migration and what are we doing, and that kind of disconnect between what people of this country have had to endure in terms of rising prices and rising house prices and increasing cost of living, reduced living standards, all that kind of stuff. So there's definitely something that is happening that is not so good for this country, and it's it can be related to immigration or over immigration or illegal immigration. It can be related to, in some quarters, an overreaction by some people, but to not even ask questions or to not even dissect or what could be the problem is wrong. So it doesn't matter where you're from, you've got to be able to look at this situation and say, okay, this is wrong. Now, just because people are proud of their flag, proud of their country, does not mean anything other than they're proud of their country. Now, of course, we have known in any country that this kind of patriotism, this sort of jingoistic patriotism, which we always saw around the World Cup and the Euros in terms of football, right? Everybody start waving their flags. It gets temporary, right? But it is that proud feeling you want to support your country. But there's always going to be that small element that are using it, they're hijacking it for other reasons. Now, what Gary Neville is saying is that no, anybody who's raising the flag now is of that persuasion. They're trying to, it's about racism. It's trying to divide us. It's not. There are so many people out there who want to raise their flag. One, because they're just patriotic. They're fed up of having to hide away and not do this. And yes, there is a groundswell, and yes, people are getting carried along with it, not carried away, but they're getting along with it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that this is a bad thing. Now, I was going down the street the other day. I forgot what street it was. I forgot even where I was. But it was noticeable. I turned down the street, and every lamppost had a Union flag or a St. George flag or whatever. And it was just, for about half a mile, there was just flags everywhere. I didn't think anything of it other than that. Okay, the Union flags, the English flags everywhere. Now, obviously, I was conscious of that. There's a lot more of this happening now, but it doesn't fill me with angst. It doesn't fill me with any kind of feeling. Now, you would say, "Oh, well, you're English white man." So, well, actually, I come from an immigrant family as well. But there's a difference between legal immigration of the past, and even now, and illegal immigration. And there's a difference between having concerns about the state of your country or the where you live, and being fearful and saying you're not going to say anything, or attacking those who would just want to question what's going on and would want to see some kind of readdress of what's going on. So Gary Neville has come out and he's mixing the issues, and he's labeling everybody tarring everybody with the same brush. And just because he wants to take a flag down on one of his building sites, he's kind of missing the point here. Just because it hasn't been done the last 15 years, it's because there's a big groundswell of opinion that people are just thinking, do you know what, we've had enough of this. And let's not forget, just because you want to get behind the flag of your country, it does not make you a racist. It doesn't even make you a nationalist. All it does is makes you somebody who's proud of their flag, who wants to raise that flag. Guess what? So many other countries around the world do it. Now, I will say this. I've been to other countries. I've lived in other countries. And guess what? I've had to live by their rules. I've had to live by their laws. I've had to have restrictions on where I could go, how many times I could go into the country in terms of visas and all this kind of stuff. Guess what? Did I start kicking up a fuss? Did I start causing mayhem and demanding my rights as an English person to go in that country, and you've got to do as no, you've got to live by the laws of that country. You're going into that country, you've got to live by their laws. Was I offended when they had all American flags all over the place? Was I offended when I lived in San Francisco for a while, and there were the rainbow flags everywhere? Was I offended? No. Was I offended when I go to the Caribbean or to Africa or to any country in Europe or to any other country that I've been to and worked or gone on a holiday and I see flags everywhere? Do I get offended? No. It's just the flags of that country. So I don't see why there's a problem with the flags in this country. And I don't see why Gary Neville should come out and make a big thing about it. He's made a rod for his own back here. And the problem is he's so out of touch with what people in this country and any other country are struggling with right now in terms of rising costs, rising house prices, rising energy and food prices, and incomes haven't gone up. And also you got to think, well, okay, what about the future of employment? What's going to happen there? Times are changing, as we know, for many different people and many different industries. So it's okay to be sat there in terms of, being a multi-millionaire, had a great career as a footballer, having a great career as a football pundit on TV channels, Sky Sports, let's say. But at the same time, you've got to have empathy with the people in this country who do not have that, who do not have the wealth, who are struggling, who are having children, who are trying to get onto any kind of ladder in terms of mobility ladder, employment ladder, housing ladder as a young person. And it's very, very difficult. It's a lot more difficult than it was 20 years ago. So you're confusing a lot of issues. The problem is that he's not alone. There's going to be so many people out there who are going to be trying to intersect lots of different issues and confuse the issues. And when you're talking about illegal immigration, then people start talking about immigration, and you think, well, okay, what are we talking about? Illegal immigration or immigration? Are we talking about people who come here illegally but still they're law-abiding people, or are we talking about illegal people who come here and they're not? They are total complete wrong ones? Are we talking about people who want to go on a protest and a very small percentage of them might be racist people. Let's say that happens everywhere, right? Crikey, I've been to other countries, I've lived in other countries, and because of the colour of my skin, I was treated differently. Guess what? Other people of other races can be racist. Yes, they can. It's not just a white person's disease. Any person can be racist towards any other person of a different skin, of a different culture, of a different language, whatever it is. That's the pure definition of racism. So just because people want to get behind a flag or get behind a protest, it doesn't mean that they're all being labelled as, or it doesn't mean that they are racist or anything like that, or they are divisive and they're being labelled. So it doesn't mean that at all. It could be a very small percentage. Now, I will say you've got to be careful of those agitators within those small percentages, how it can affect a big crowd. But at the same time, you can't label everybody just because they want to go on a protest or they want to raise a flag, that they are anything but concerned about what is the current status quo of this country, or not even the status quo, what is the current situation of this country. So out of touch here, Gary Neville, of what's going on. A misplaced video, and especially when you're talking about something that's got nothing to do with the English flags, Union flags, nothing to do with angry white men. This is something to do with a Syrian going in and attacking Jewish people at a synagogue on Yom Kippur, the holiest of days. You know, that is another discussion. That is another issue in terms of political issues going on regarding Israel, Palestine, all that kind of stuff in the Arab world and everything like that. But that's another discussion. But that's got nothing to do with, angry white men and what's going on in this country. Totally misinformed, totally misplaced, and basically big egg on your face. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if he isn't forced to come out with some kind of an apology, just like Gary Lineker has been forced over the years for the kind of things that he said over the years, right? I would not be surprised. And if he isn't made to do that, then there's something seriously wrong with the whole system, that, he's allowed to say something like that, and people think, well, hold on a minute, what the hell's going on? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, keep on watching, and I'll catch you again. Bye now.